All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we are now going to get into previewing some of the late window games, a couple games here, because I know, like I said before we went to break, covered Bengals Chiefs, and we're going to be covering the Texans Bears game in the final segment. So, a couple games here. The first one we'll talk about is the Cardinals and the Rams. Cardinals are 1-point favorites at home. Cardinals coming off of that tough loss. Well, both teams are coming off of tough losses in different ways. Cardinals coming off of that tough loss against the Bills, where they were up by a few scores, but the Bills came roaring back. And then, for the Rams, that tough overtime game loss against the Lions. And, the Rams are a team that, typically owns the Cardinals. And something interesting, actually, looking at the odds here. So, the Rams opened up as a 3-point favorite, and now that has gone down, and now the Cardinals are, like I said, the Cardinals are the favorites, and the Rams are a 1-point underdog. The Rams, when it comes to the money line, they're plus 100. Cardinals are minus 120. And you know what? I did like what I saw from the Cardinals. Kyler Murray being back. I mean, the Cardinals are going to be a more competitive team. They just are. With him being back. And, of course, James Conner had a good game. But the one thing is, got to see Marvin Harrison Jr. getting more involved in this offense. And Kyler had something interesting to say the other day when it came to getting him the ball. And I'm going to try to find the quote. But it was so strange. Because it was about, like I said, getting him the ball, getting, Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball. And he said something along the lines of, like, that's not his job. I'm trying to see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so Kyler said it's not his job to get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. That's basically what he said. But I'm just very confused by that because you're the quarterback. You have to get him the ball. Unless he means, like, I mean, he could also mean, like, the play calling. I don't know. But there was a play in the game where Marvin Harrison Jr. was wide open, and Kyler missed him. I don't even think didn't throw it his way. So I think he's going to get more involved this week. That's my guess. And then for the Rams, they're dealing with injuries right now. To the offensive line, they are completely banged up on the offensive line. There's no Puka Nacua, and he could be out longer than the initial 4 games because he was placed on IR. And actually, speaking of, I wanted to check and make sure I got my pickup, and I did. All right, so that's good. I picked up because in my fantasy league, someone dropped Trey Benson, and I have James Conner, and I'm like, I need to get him just in case James Conner gets hurt because and James Conner, when he plays, he's a monster, but he sometimes misses games. So I had to pick up his insurance policy by picking up Trey Benson. So I did get Trey Benson. Also, one of my friends put Jameson Williams on waivers, and it was an interesting move because Jameson Williams had a good game on Sunday, and I was like, why would you want to drop him? But I don't know. That's a separate topic, but yeah, so I got Trey Benson, so that's good. But yeah, I expect James Conner to continue to have good games. I mean, he's a stud. This is not the same Rams team from a few years ago. This is a weaker Rams team, still good, but dealing with injuries right now. I expect this to be a competitive game. And the other thing too is with the Rams, Cooper Kupp is back. Like I said earlier in the week, he's back. So he's going to be, back to being the guy in this offense. And, Kyren Williams is continue. He had a big game against the Cardinals last year. I expect that. I mean, I don't expect the numbers he put up in the game in Arizona last year because I think he had like 3 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. But I expect him to do well, even with the offensive line banged up like it is. Cooper Kupp, I expect, to do his thing. The big thing is making sure that Matthew Stafford, stays upright. And, they were getting the ball out quickly last week. Listen, Sean McVay is a great coach, and he's going to make it work, no matter what the circumstances are. So, I expect the Rams to do their thing offensively. DeMarcus Robinson's going to have to step up like he did last year. Tyler Johnson, the former Buccaneer, made some plays last week. That big play in the second half, I believe, against the Lions. Guys are going to have to step up. And, it's going to be a competitive game, but I'm going to say the Rams do take this game. I'm going to give them the win. It's going to be tough, though. It's going to be tough, but again, they own the Cardinals, and I think that's going to continue here. So I like the Rams to win outright, and I might place a bet on it this week. So I'll probably end up losing money, but it is what it is. All right, so then the second game that we're going to cover here in this segment is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Denver Broncos. So the Steelers coming off of that 18-10 victory over the Falcons, and the Broncos coming off of that loss against the Seahawks 26-20. Bo Nix did not play well in his debut. And, it is the Broncos' home opener. They're a 3-point underdog. Justin Fields, it looks like he is going to get the start again for the Steelers, with Russell Wilson still banged up. And, we talked about this. If the Steelers start off 2-0, it's going to be hard to go back to Russ. So, we'll see what happens and how this game goes. But, look, T.J.Watt was a one-man wrecking crew last week against the Falcons. And now they're going to be playing against a rookie quarterback. Now, different kind of atmosphere because you're going from playing in the Dome in Georgia to now playing in the mountains in Colorado. And, and Denver's kind of a funky place to play because of that with the altitude. But, I think the Steelers' defense is going to come to rise to the occasion and give Bo Nix a hard time. Once again, I think T.J. Watt, once again, is going to have a big game. And I like the Steelers to win and cover. Bo Nix, threw some bad interceptions in the game last week. I think that's going to continue here in this game. And I just think the Steelers are going to put a ton of pressure on him. And I think it's going to be a long day for him once again because that Steelers pass rush is relentless because of T.J. Watt. I just think that's going to continue here. And I think Justin Fields is going to do, what he's supposed to do. And, maybe he does put up better numbers than he did last week, but you know what? He did what he was supposed to do in that game. Didn't turn the ball over. Did not put the ball in harm's way. Made plays when he had to. Took off with it when he had to pick up some first downs and, hit George Pickens on some big plays. And let's, see the Steelers running game do a little bit more as well. I like the Steelers in this game. I think they should get the win, but we'll see what happens. It's the NFL and it's unpredictable. But I do like the Steelers to win and to cover. I think it'll be a low-scoring game, but I do like the Steelers to cover, win and cover. So that's my thoughts on those two games. Again, we covered the Chiefs and the Bengals already, and then obviously the last segment we'll get into the Sunday night matchup, and then we'll wait till Monday to preview the Monday night game, Falcons Eagles. We'll wait to get into that, but yeah. So to kind of just run through my picks again. So we'll start from the early slate. So like the Ravens to win and cover, the Chargers to win and cover, the Cowboys to win and cover, the Bucks to at least cover, but the Lions win outright. Colts to win and cover, Jags to win and cover, the Vikings to lose but to cover the spread. Patriots, I'm going to give them the upset. So I'll take them with the points and the upset. Titans, I'll pick them to cover, but the Jets to win. Giants, I got winning outright. Rams, winning outright. The Chiefs, winning outright and covering the spread. And the Steelers, to win and to cover against the Broncos. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, some of the best games for this weekend, Buccaneers, Lions, Bengals, Chiefs. And some of the other games I think could be entertaining, like Jags, Browns. I mean, we'll see. Vikings, 49ers, I think could be entertaining if the Vikings offense, puts up points like it did last week against the Giants, but it's a whole different ball game going up against the 49ers. Cardinals, Rams, I think it could be good as well. And then, of course, you have the Sunday night game, which we will get into in the next segment. But yeah, and talking about the Packers and the Colts again, I mean, hopefully, Jordan Love could be back next week, which would be huge, because if he's out for an extended period of time, I mean, you don't want the Packers to fall further and further out. But yeah, and my friend actually just said in the chat, Dolphins should sign Tannehill to lead them on a Nick Foles run. And then he said, to be honest, they're probably better off with Skylar Thompson right now than the Packers are with Malik Willis. Yeah, I mean, Malik Willis played well in the preseason, but I mean, I didn't really pay attention to that, but I think the Packers should have maybe. I mean, I guess they figure, like, if Jordan Love was maybe going to be out for an extended period of time, maybe they looked elsewhere. But I guess maybe they figure he could be back sooner rather than later. They just say, you know what, just have Malik Willis start, and then we'll go from there. With Jordan Love hopefully coming back. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting what the Dolphins do, with the Tua stuff, and with the Packers. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully Jordan Love is back sooner, because it looked like he was going to be out for the year, which would have really, put a damper on this NFL season already. But that's not the case. He'll be back soon. But yeah, got to pay attention to a lot of quarterbacks this weekend, because some of their jobs could be on the line. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so we're going to take our final break of the show now. When we come back, we will preview the Sunday night game between the Bears and the Texans, after both teams coming off of wins in Week 1 in different ways. So we will get into that. We will preview it when we return from our final break of the show. So, with that being said, for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.